Driveline R&D podcast, episode 53. This is Alex Caravan, Driveline baseball, manager of data science, drinking a double mountain Kolsch. Same here as Brady.
Lindley, sports engineer, Driveline baseball. Drink. Didn't hit your eye this time.
No.
Drinking a Dark Horse IPA. Dark Horse Crooked Tree IPA, unfiltered and unpasteurized. It's very interesting. I'm very excited.
Right. I'm Anthony Brady, primary host, Driveline Research and Drinks podcast. I got this one.
Oh, nice. I brought that.
Biomechanics manager, sports science. Coming to you live today in person. Scrambled to get this set up together, so no idea it's actually working. If there's anyone watching, throw some comments. Say something. I don't even know if we have audio. Hopefully we do. No idea if we have video. I'm also drinking the Double Mountain German style ale.
Double Mountain. Oh, I missed the first mountain.
Yeah. Craft Beer Club gave us a fire bottle opener.
This looks.
Oh, that's from the.
Dude, are you serious,
shipments?
man? They're really that immature? They're really gonna make the beer opener look like this?
It's beer opener.
I remember when I was in middle school. But yeah, no, we're really testing our popularity here, going back to back, no guest episodes. And also testing our ability to put it together on the spot, going back to back, last second planned episodes.
Yeah, brand new setup 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, you on the phone, bro?
Hopefully.
I'm listening to the audio.
Yeah, I muted it.
Dog, you pulling on me when I was hammered off 3 beers last episode.
The audio looks good, or the audio sound.
Okay, sweet. We got a couple. We figured last week we got kind of loose. May get a little bit loose this week, but your boy got
a little loose.
What's up?
I think the looseness was pretty one-sided.
Oh, Lindley?
Yeah. Biggest update of this week, Caravan got a full haircut.
Yeah. Pretty.
Looks good. I like it a lot.
I mean, and let's just get the elephant. This is just elephant in the room. Last week I talked about how when I started this podcast I was single.
Address the elephant in the room that you have cut off all your hair.
The 2 elephants in the room. Your boy's single again. I feel like I owe it to the podcast guest be open about that. Not going to go into any more details, but I was hoping to tell Lindley on the podcast, but he put 2 and 2 together.
Anthony gave me a pretty good hint earlier.
Real quick, shout out Glenn Nutting. Thanks for the heads up. It says audio and video is working. We're chilling. All right, so next week, well, there won't be a next week actually. We could actually probably say that next week.
We're in person. Can we cheers?
Yeah.
Cheers to episode 53, boys.
made it this far.
Next week, you guys gonna be in Texas or Arizona?
We
Be
will
in Texas.
be in Texas at that time, and then we'll be in Arizona the week after that. So
Yeah.
we're going to do a pre-recorded episode for next week. But yeah, live this week, then hopefully back
Yeah.
live 2 weeks from
Dude.
now. Episode 55.
What if we got
I'm gonna point this a
some
little more.
one of our Arizona homies as a live guest?
Oh yeah.
We got.
I think that'd be sick.
there's a
Yeah,
lot
we
of
got a
people in
ton.
Arizona.
Let's just smack. Yeah, I mean, we could even just smack like, go for the king. Just try to smack Bauer,
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
and then read tweets between him and Marcus Stroman and Thor.
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah.
Trying to
definitely.
hit Bauer.
I think that. I'm down to face off in live ABs for sure.
I am still thinking of completely cold calling Luba during this. just putting her-
Man, I don't know. We could get Luba next month.
Yeah.
In Arizona.
Um, But yeah, I mean, yeah, I might be in Arizona too. That could be really fun. Works up. Yeah, I mean, let's just get into it. We got the weighted ball study on the preprint
I think we
Sports
may have mentioned the weighted ball study
like
like
a year
5
ago.
times.
Yeah.
Throughout
But now
throughout
other
the year.
people can actually look at it rather than like having to jot down notes, just talking about it and stuff. But yeah, I guess do you wanna kind of touch on it? As the main person authoring the study, you want to touch on the preprint process, why it takes so damn long, and then we can kind of touch on the results.
Yeah, for sure. So the process takes a long time. Well, we first tried to publish in PeerJ, which is a peer-reviewed journal. So you have to go through the whole peer review process, which is quite the scene. Got to get feedback from typically anonymous reviewers that are associated with the journal you're trying to publish in. Then we ended up getting banged from that one. They didn't give us a chance to revise the study, basically. And then we decided to go with the preprint route, which for those who aren't familiar, preprint is basically in a typical publishing cycle or the process. Basically, you preprint, you get feedback, and a preprint is basically the study before it gets peer reviewed. So because the study isn't peer reviewed, we didn't go through the whole peer review process. We did get some peer review from PeerJ, from the journal, which was very helpful. But because it hasn't completed the peer review process, it's a preprint, which can be published on a handful of different sites. But we chose Sport Archive, which is an OSF site that hosts sport topics for preprints. So we did
Bro,
that.
honestly, I didn't even realize it's called Sport Archive. I kept thinking like Sport XRIV, and I was like,
No,
damn,
that's a
it's
Kai. That's a Greek
God
Kai.
damn, that's a bad
as
name.
opposed to-
Yeah.
Yeah, so that finally got. They do have a moderation process where you they don't just automatically
Yeah.
post every study that's.
because I've still
That's
gone
submitted?
banged. I've still gone and banged at
No,
the
you.
OSF. Yeah.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, dude. I'm not. I'll tell you off air what's the study. I got
Anyways,
banged.
it's finally published, or it's publicly available on Sport Archive. Weighted ball training affects arm speed without increasing elbow and shoulder joint kinetics. So basically, that highlights the main finding. The ball weight affected arm speed. It actually affected pelvis rotational velocity and also ball velocity, which a lot of those are pretty intuitive.
Yeah.
We went through a few drafts of this study. Think we're pretty proud of it. We're hoping to get some constructive feedback so we can maybe make it a little bit better before we attempt a second round of peer review publication. And the nice thing about this is that we get it out there. People can see it. Most of the value is already realized once it becomes publicly available because the whole being in a peer
People
review
can see
journal.
stats. People can see the study design.
Yeah, exactly. And they can apply it to their training or whatever. And so with this, we have available the data table. That is basically all of the process data and what we used to actually run this. And then we also have our actual raw motion data, which Anthony mentioned a couple episodes ago. We publish all the raw motion data that we collect for the studies. So if people want to do their own processing, or if they want to visualize the motion data in a program like Mocha,
Or if you don't believe us, dude.
Or if
you don't believe that
Balls on our bluff.
weighted ball somehow did not cause elbow torque to go up.
Yeah, exactly.
Simply.
Yeah.
So it's available on Sport Archive, ResearchGate, and the data is available on Figshare. So for those who are interested, feel free to read that.
You tweeted about it. I quote tweeted it. I'm sure Brady retweeted it.
Yep.
I did.
Yeah. So we're gonna hope to publish another one of the like backlog study data sets that we have here shortly. We're gonna try to make this a pretty regular thing, more so than the last year or two. But,
Do you want to touch a little bit on study design? Because even a couple of the comments, like like one of our old podcast guests, Barton Smith, had a question about it, just differences in stress as explained by age, which is definitely a good point to talk about. But I guess I'm not sure if people saw that and thought like, oh, of course you guys got like more polished throwers to throw the heavy balls or whatever. But I don't know if people realize like everyone threw all the balls.
Yeah.
So we're talking about within subject differences. Like everything's standardized as differences from people's own like torque levels at each weight.
Yeah. So we had 29 subjects or 20, I don't know, 27, 29 subjects throw, all of them through every condition, so we can compare their own mechanics between balls, so we don't have to worry about any between like differences in people, those confounding our results. I think Barton brought up how he brought up an age comment, and I think your point was, first he asked what kinetics were, so that's in the title. I think that's a decent thing to bring up. Kinetics in how we talk about biomechanics refer to the forces in the torques that are basically at the joints that we estimate using inverse dynamics. And so that basically Anthony tweeted about it, but that describes how the movement happens. And then the kinematics, so kinematic positions and kinematic velocities describe the actual happening. Yeah. So kinematic position is like elbow flexion at a certain time. About how fast that elbow flexion is changing would be a kinematic velocity. And then elbow varus or valgus torque is an example of a joint kinetic that we calculate with data. And then for really quickly, one more to address Barton's comment about the age. I think he may have been referring to if this generalizes to other like younger populations as well, which we can't be 100% sure because this study actually replicated the methods of Dr. Fleissig and his group ASMI study in 2017, who did a similar design, but they also included some run and gun throws and some really heavy balls. As well, I think they also did some flat ground stuff, but ours were only regular pitches off a mound at max intent. And his included some high school subjects. Our study only included college and professional athletes. And we talk about this in discussion, but the lack of difference in elbow and shoulder joint kinetics, so the torques at the elbow and the shoulder, we talk about how we may have seen that, which contradicts some of the previously published research. Because these are experienced and trained throwers. Yeah. So somebody who is a youth athlete may actually see a little bit more of a difference from weighted balls, and we can't say that is or isn't the case based with this data set because it's only with older, more trained athletes. But that is a good consideration. But I think generally my interpretation is that as long as they're not being used egregiously, we only tested 3 to 7 ounces. So competition ball weight's 5 ounces. 3 ounces isn't that much lighter. 7 ounces isn't that much heavier than a 5 ounce ball. We actually do have a data set that looks into the plyo ball weights, which include much heavier balls.
That's a supplementary data set, right? It's not like that's something we're going to publish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we got IRB approval, so that is also eligible to be published in a peer review journal. So we're going to hopefully be publishing that soon. But I think the moderate change or the moderate underload and overload, I think is something that people should be within reason. Yeah. I think based on these results and also previously published results, I think they're reasonable to use in youth athletes as long as they're not being used egregiously.
Yeah. Dude, you know what, dude? I just got a Clubhouse notification about lobbyist lobbyist tells all how U.S. businesses can win with Joe Biden. So I gotta go and get No, on a real tangent, like I don't think either of you guys checked out Clubhouse.
I haven't.
I've not done anything.
No.
I can get us all invites, by the way. I can get us all invites. I got an invite from one of mine and Brady's past roommates, and I'll let that be the hint. But
nice.
I just accepted, and I haven't done anything. And every like 20 minutes, I get a notification from one of like 300 people who's like, because I got so many numbers. Like I'm not trying to brag about how many numbers I have, but I looked at my phone contact. I have like 1,800 contacts.
Oh, does it
wow.
sync
Just
with
from
all the like user information?
Yeah, from your
Like
phone. Yeah, like just from
in your
college,
phone?
whatever. So every 20 minutes, there's like a new Clubhouse room. I haven't clicked in a single one of them.
Oh.
But anyways, off the like that's how Clubhouse works. I feel like you got to be chilling around. Like, you know what? I got a spare hour, and then just hop in a room or something. I don't know. But you know what I was gonna bring up. How close does this come to replicating the Reinhold study that we brought up earlier in the podcast? I'm trying to remember the exact.
No, the Reinhold study was more like the 6 study.
Okay.
Well, the first one was in 18. They did an acute one in 2020.
Oh yeah. I thought that's the main one you were talking about.
I'm not sure. I kind of forget the details.
It's similar. They had a condition where guys were throwing. Well, first they measured passive range of motion after the session was over.
Yeah.
They didn't look at within session within like or like throw to throw differences.
Yeah.
They looked at differences from the training session. They also included a condition where it was extreme overload, so up to the 2-pound ball, I think.
Yeah, the relative weights were way.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, the weights were way more aggressive, and that's where most of the changes were seen. There were more changes seen in the extreme overload condition than there were between the underload or I can't remember if it was underload condition versus the like moderate overload, or if it was like a control versus the moderate overload. But there were less differences there than between the extreme, I think up to a 2-pound or 4-pound ball.
I was gonna say, because I remember I think I saw one like comment, and honestly this might have been a troll comment, I don't even know, like someone, you answered Bart saying we use joint kinetics to estimate the forces, whatever, and someone quote retweeted that. I don't know, I might be tripping. Someone quote retweeted that and was like, oh, see, that's where you went wrong. You estimate, we measured, or something.
I didn't
Chris
see that.
O'Leary.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't look at who it was. I just saw that. I thought it was so funny. It's like, oh, that's where we go differently. We actually measure it.
That was a Chris O'Leary tweet who, I mean, we should just not speak about and give any type of platform to.
You're the one who said he was.
I know,
but
but
I didn't know if it was a troll comment.
People were probably gonna find out.
Yeah.
At
I
some
honestly
point,
didn't
but,
see
like,
it. It didn't even show up in my notifications.
Yeah, I mean, I think someone sent it to me because I've had him like tweeted a long time. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it is a not great point, not a great take, and like he doesn't really have many of those. So, but as far as like the actual contents and stuff, yeah, relative to the Reinhold study, because that was more, the acute one was more about shoulder range of motion.
Yeah,
right?
because
That's what you're saying?
yeah, it was. They found longitudinally. They found increases in injury risk and
Yeah, the longitudinal one looked
shoulder
at
range of
like
motion.
post. I think they like asked the people that were part of the study like afterward
Mm-hmm.
about injuries, and then they logged that, and then that's
Yeah.
how they came to you had a higher likelihood of injury risk after the weighted ball program in that like 6-week study. So those are but yeah, the like relative ball weights I think is really big for a lot of reasons. One, as you mentioned, the like acute study and other studies in the past, they've used like 2-pound balls in the pitching motion, which if you come to Driveline, you're just not going to throw green ball walking wide. That's just like not going to happen.
Yeah, we did throw the green ball at decently high intent for the plyo study to see.
But it's so different from everything else. I remember like
Exactly.
everything was just so different.
Rarely ever
there's
is
a large magnitude of difference. From
rarely ever is that ever going to be like included in programming. Definitely not here. But I think the same thing applies to youth. It's like pretty interesting about not being able to draw the same conclusions because, like, I mean, relative to the ball weight that they're used to, a 1 ounce change is a lot more than a 1 ounce change.
Yeah.
Any of us. Yeah. You know,
especially it's a lot to me. It's a lot to me.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, the relative ball weights I think is big because when you first read that, you're like, oh, weighted ball study. I think I immediately went to, oh, blue ball, red ball. Like it's so hard for me to even think of the 6 ounce as a weighted ball.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it feels the same. And that's another thing too.
Yeah, if you've ever thrown one, it feels very similar.
Yeah.
to
Even then, though, it doesn't feel like that different. Like, people do that all the time. Like, if you leave balls out in the rain, they get waterlogged. I mean, those are probably like 7-8 ounces. But yeah, it's out there.
If anybody has has people they want to send the study to or whatever, we're trying to get as much constructive feedback as we can. So feel free to.
We already got a question.
No. Davis says he throws 82 and he wants us to help.
Hey man, if you can locate with that 82, you're gonna make it.
That's right. I should be wearing my throw weighted balls for this.
Tried throwing harder.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally got a weighted ball. Sure.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, this was not included. Grand black ball was not included in the study.
And you know what we could riff off on a little bit? I don't know if we mentioned it last episode. Did we mention force hooks validation? Because we literally just
we started talking about it.
I was saying because Lindley and I
about how we'd use it.
Oh yeah.
Lindley and I just logged data for it.
Oh nice.
Little bit of a different perspective from when we usually are, where we're collecting data and crunching it. Lindley and I were just two subjects in force hooks validation.
Yeah, they asked for strong employees.
Force decks.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we set up on the force plate.
Wasn't sure if we had like another dynamometer.
We wanted to use the Burtech force plate. You just can't set up the force hooks over where the force plates are installed. So we're using the force decks ones.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it was basically an isometric mid-thigh pull. So the way we set it up, we were on force plates. We had the force hooks, which are just like 2 clamps on either end of the bar.
Similar to J hooks.
Yeah.
They just clamp around the bar.
Yeah, 50% rep, 75% rep, then three hondos. I haven't seen the data yet, but Connor White on the HP side claims Lindley somehow beat me. So I think the takeaway is that it's definitely not validated.
But on an absolute level or relative?
Absolute plus.
I was gonna say because on a relative level, I'd be interested.
Oh yeah, no shot. No shot. I beat him in relative.
It'd be interesting to see how high you are on the relative because I'm pretty sure Dean has the highest.
On IMDb.
No, he used to. He just mentioned it in a tweet. Yeah, he doesn't. He's not the new.
I want to go again. Though.
Wait, was he the highest absolute or the highest relative?
I'm not. I can't remember. I think it was relative.
I mean, if he's relative, then it's probably absolute too. Homie's like 260.
That's what I was gonna say. If he's relative, he's definitely absolute.
No
but I could see him being for sure absolute.
Yeah.
100%. Also, I asked Connor really quickly because I was curious. Since we're during these validation studies that we do, it's nice because standardization is less important because you're just pairing because you're measuring, you're using the 2 measurements concurrently. Whatever happens, as long as both measurements are measuring the same thing, it doesn't matter. Like if one trial is exactly the same as the next. Caravan and I both did 1 pull, both hands overhand, 1 alternate grip with the left underhand, and then 1 alternate grip with the right underhand. And my strongest was with my left underhand, which is what I usually use, which was, I think that's what Caravan predicted. Well, that could be a fun thing. More people do that.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to log another dude when my lat isn't lit up. I want to come for the king.
You just don't want to lose.
I want to come for the king.
Yeah, we're setting up another bench press competition, by the way. If you want to be, we're gonna set one up for April 4th. So when I beat him, he can.
That's actually not a bad idea. I proposed April 1st. I didn't even think about that. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, nice. You want to talk about edge reports?
Yeah. Second topic, which I'm actually planning on putting out, like a quick blurb, maybe mini blog post, honestly off my own Medium, off my own medium.com blog. I'm trying to bring that shit back.
I was like, when you said
off my own Medium,
when you said Medium, I was like,
crystal ball.
What is this Medium? Like, are you just gonna like stand on the corner of like Wallingford and 45th and just like
I'm not gonna be standing on that corner, dude.
just down at Gasworks, just
Yeah,
like town crier or something,
Yeah.
talking about edge reports.
Come get your edge reports.
Here's what we're doing
Yeah.
for Q2. Gather around, everybody.
What tier of track you want in? Let me know what technology you're using. We can get you any sort of bundle.
Standalone, you got it.
Get you a discount code.
Yeah.
to podcast.
Discount code
100Ks.
podcast.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So over the last couple of months, we've been. Well, I mean, we're kind of constantly tinkering and smashing bugs on Edge and like kind of small edits. But we have a couple big changes in the works. We've done a couple. I just pushed a couple of tests this morning, and we have a couple more slated. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of recap some of the stuff we did. Pitching snapshot. We added Diamond Kinetics. So you can use Diamond Kinetics to generate a pitching snapshot, which is like a 6 or 7 page, mostly descriptive pitching report. Pretty excited about that because as far as I'm aware, there's not as much stuff for Diamond Kinetics. Yet a lot of people use them, especially on the youth side.
And we also have their reports for the hitting sensor.
Oh yeah, we've had them
Yeah.
for swing profile for a while, but yeah. And so we brought in DK pitching. We are currently revamping the qualitative pitching notes for like DK, Rhapsody, and TrackMan.
Let's go.
That's always been a weak spot of the reports. I've always been pretty honest about that. It's something. It's very tricky getting automated conditional notes, as you guys know, with the initial like biomech reports because it's so hard to set like. You don't want to set too firm.
Everything.
You don't want to set too firm of claims because then that might be good for 90%, and then for the 10% where it's just like it just sounds stupid and it just like almost invalidates the whole report.
Yeah.
So it's a very fine line of almost like, hey, your fastball is 92. If you want to pitch in the majors, you should probably boost that fastball up.
Yeah.
Your fastball has 70% spin efficiency. You almost certainly want to be cutting it less. It's hard to be like going a couple levels like much deeper than that because if some guy has a changeup that's 82, we bring in like drop differential with the fastball, speed differential with the fastball, but like we're still limited. We're only working with our movement profile. We don't always know. We're going off a Rhapsody bullpen. They might have thrown like two or three like throwaway changeups, and all of a sudden we're telling them you got to throw your changeup harder. Your changeup's not good, and you're like, what? My changeup,
my best pitch.
I pitched in college, and my changeup was my best pitch. It's just very, very, very hard to set those rules. So we're editing that.
I think that gets overlooked as well. Like, I think that's a common request from people who use tools like this, and it's just like it's easy. Like, it's definitely a good set of automated notes and like plain text description is really good, but it's just like really hard to get to like perfect notes.
Yeah, there's also like a difference in like, our standard and like everyone else. Of course, like we're gonna see it and this is wrong. Like, I mean, I think I always kind of just like refer it to like any of my high school coaches, like even my at it, like the worst note that for us, my dad would read it and be like, okay. It's like a lot of people out there that don't even understand spin axis, efficiency, all the possible like. I mean, that actually like what got brought up last week in an internal about like how many pitches are need understand someone's arsenal to changes, and like I mean I said at that point I said like 1 is better than 0 when compared to 0, like. It's either you're eyeballing it and playing catch with someone, and it's like if they throw 1 pitch on a pitch logic ball or a DK ball, and like that's more data than you have without that.
Right? And what's the replacement value?
Yeah,
unless it's a misread. You have 1 pitch.
Yeah.
I think my fastball spins 800 RPM. All right, thanks. But no. So that's one thing. Not currently live, but in the process of hopefully being live this week. And the big one that I just pushed this morning, currently on our test server, is Hitrex hitting snapshots, which I've talked about for a while. Took a while because we had to wait for the Hitrex API to log into or associate with Track's backend. But with Hitrex hitting snapshots, since Hitrex has been a technology we've used the most in gym, as you guys know, over the last couple of years, probably the one internally that had the most feedback. So I've actually added a couple stats to the solo HitTrax batted ball report that I'm also going to be adding to the Rapsodo and TrackMan. You know, I mean, HitTrax has point of contact data, which Rapsodo and TrackMan don't.
TrackMan doesn't have contact data?
Oh, it does. It does on the calls on like the raw or like on the fuller TrackMan export.
Oh, it doesn't on the mobile? Mobile unit?
It actually might on a mobile as well. It doesn't on the most common, like. That's a good point. I could / should add that actually. I
honestly didn't know when you said that.
No, I'm saying there's formats of TrackMan CSVs that don't have point of contact.
That makes sense.
So to that point, it was almost like it's like I could probably code in some conditional stuff. It made more sense to just focus on like batted ball spin as well.
Yeah.
In that context, but you know I haven't thought about TrackMan hitting it before in a little bit, but that's a good point. But the stats I added, nothing too groundbreaking. I added an absolute max exit velocity on top of our top 8th exit velocity, which there's been some sabermetric
like
research done. Single value after like a little bit of outlier removal.
Must be within.
Has to
second
be
highest value or something.
Has to be within like 3% of your second highest value.
That's interesting.
HitTrax will have misreach.
Yeah.
Where like it'll just be like 107, 101, 101, 100, 99, 98. You know, it's just like okay.
So is it within like 3% of surrounding balls, or just like
3% of the next highest? Like it'll stack from the bottom up. 3% from the next highest, which had to be 3% from the third highest. You know what I mean?
That's pretty interesting. I've honestly never thought of that because on the pitching side, that's like the classic prove it. You know,
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah.
Like 99, then it's like 103. It's like, okay, well, you gotta like at least like 101.
Yeah. Like I mean, I think misreads are way easier to tell on the batted ball side because you
are the other metrics?
I don't know,
metrics?
dude.
You don't think so?
Well, sometimes
for EV, but I'm saying if you're looking at numbers, not the heat of the moment. If you look at 100 batted balls.
Oh yeah, that's.
If you look at 100 batted balls, which is like a typical HitTrax session, at least in gym.
Yeah.
And there's the highest is 107, the second highest is 101.
Yeah.
Versus like if you throw like
I thought
100,
you just meant like variance within the like piece of equipment because like the radar gun like sometimes it's like you pull down and it's like 109 and it's like okay.
Talk to Dan Adams about that. He hit
obviously
like
that wasn't it.
Adams hit like 79 with a great plyo, 83 with a great plyo, 87 with a great plyo. He's like, I'm done. That will for sure not a misread. I'll have to back that up.
No way.
Like, right.
No way.
Shot, dude.
Anyways, so we have max EV and launch angle range between 5 and 30. Kind of like two cutoffs that usually match up pretty well with where the highest expected WOBA would be, given a high enough exit velocity ceiling. Hard hit or a top 8th point of contact, which we had before. Just nobody's seen it because the HitTrax report hasn't come out yet. As well as average point of contact, top 8th spray angle, which I think is interesting. So like the average spray angle. My bad on the burp.
No, that was spray angle.
I just burped like 5 seconds ago. You're like, damn, bro,
outing me. Dude,
outing me in front of 13 viewers.
I was like, spray angle.
Yeah.
Which field?
This
is vertical
middle.
launch angle.
Yeah, dude. We got launch angle.
The vertical or the average spray angle of the top 8th hardest hit balls.
So you can see which field you hit hardest to.
Yeah. Pull middle oppo splits, our request of Jason Oshart, and then pull middle oppo splits for our hardest hit balls, which are hilarious, dude. Because with this, we also updated all the pro averages and back end like
our guys internally
database, the data being supplied to generate the playing level averages, and then this distribution stuff too. If you guys remember like those joy plots and stuff, I updated all those on the hitting side, and I want to start doing that routinely. Project I've been working on with Noah Thurm, just every couple weeks. I mean, probably every month because we do player month figures for the distributions. Just keep them churning. Like we want the numbers to reflect like as players evolve, like difference in data rather than them being static.
Yeah, and that
Even
stuff.
even if they change a little bit, but still, like it'll be nice context.
Yeah, and that tech gets used every day. So like, there's
Yeah.
probably a lot of change within, or maybe not a lot of change, but a lot more data
a
points
lot more data,
within a month.
But dude, the stats are so funny on Driveline internally because we are so pull happy.
Yeah.
Like
Bro, not
which
me,
I know.
dude.
Yeah.
Not me, bro. I couldn't pull a ball to save my life when we were doing sticky hitting. No shot, dude.
We're so
also
pull
out.
heavy, and it only gets more pronounced as we move to the younger guys because now we have a bunch of youth data. Dog, the I should double check before I say anything too concrete, but I literally think for the top eighth field distributions, I think the youth homies are pulling like 77% of them. 77%,
Dude, that is so
and going like
electric.
zero up
That
pull.
is so
They're
electric,
going
dude.
like 77% pull, 23 up the middle.
Dude,
We can
Zero.
do some more situational hitting. In the
I would
gym.
hate. I mean, if I was like.
Yeah.
The pull side every time.
Yeah.
They're probably also like rolling over.
That's why the left fielder is so important in youth, right? Like just like
I didn't
you
know
put.
that was a thing.
Dude,
Is that
I played
a
baseball,
thing?
baby. No, I played baseball, dog.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you played?
You can just
I was a
yeet
left fielder,
balls,
dude. But and then what we do have planned that is not as close to going into testing or production this week. But talked about internally. Was initially even planning on working at this sprint. Gonna push it next sprint. Pitch Logic and Yakkertech pitching snapshots. Round down at the tech fields. Gone a bunch of requests on those, both from people in like certifications, plus members, whatever. So those are coming. Yakker and Pitch Logic.
And when is this?
Edge
You-
reports.
you-
Edge reports Q2.
Yakker
one?
Pitch Logic. Hoping to next month.
Dude, baby.
I'm still Q1. I just everything I covered should happen in Q1. Q1.
Oh.
What do we got? Q1's like 3 months, dog.
Yeah, we got a
Q1's
month
3
and
months. Month and a little bit change.
month and 8 days. Oh, month and 6 days.
I got it.
What are you cracking?
Go.
But anyways, what do we got? What do we got on? What was our third topic? Oh yeah, some biomech BS.
Oh yeah, some biomech BS. Honestly, I should have brought it up when we were talking about weighted ball study because it's actually a good point. Probably a question that we'll get here and there. What all were the data points that were included in there? You had like torso rotation, pelvis rotation.
It was
variance
really
kinetics.
as compared to most of our like bulk biomechanics investigations. It was pretty minimal because we went based off what previous studies had found to be.
Yeah.
We looked at torso forward tilt at ball release, max elbow flexion, max scap retraction, max external rotation. There was one more maybe. Then we looked at kinematic velocities. So we looked at elbow extension velocity, shoulder internal rotation velocity, pelvis rotation velocity, peak pelvis rotational velocity, and then 5 joint kinetics.
Yeah, so I think so. This kind of came about for multiple reasons. First being last week, Ben Brewster DM'd me asking me a question about shoulder horizontal abduction and our values from like the 2019 Biomech like recap
The
blog. Yeah, that blog compared to like ASMI and how ours were higher, which there's a lot of reasons why. First being maybe that just have more of it, do more of it. It's like
more jacked.
it's a piece of like what we do in the training, like scap retraction, whatever. But the spread was, more. Also, as I mentioned, I was like, it could have been the model that we used at the time, cost the data, et cetera, et cetera. Then that led into a question because Dean was staying with us, where Dean had a bunch of questions about how like the data is processed. How it goes from like lab to biomech report. And I kind of like walked him through it step by step without getting into like too many details. But I was explaining along the way how decisions in processing of the data can like alter the results that you get. And that's why it's like really important, especially within baseball biomechanics, to not necessarily like compare values across labs. So like in other biomechanics fields, like gait is the best one. You literally go to like the ISBS or like the ASB website, you can find like a guideline of like how to collect and process gate data, so that labs from all over the world can compare, various like things.
You've definitely been on that site, right? Because I know you've gotten a lot of hate on gate.
yeah. I'm looking at trying to figure out my gate profile, but like there's a standardized process for that processing and like model to follow, so that the data can be like, one university can compare it to like another university. Baseball doesn't really have that. It'd be pretty tough too, because one, there aren't that many labs, so like the need isn't really much. Like at the time, it was just like ASMI, and Glenn Fleisig were doing the majority of the research. But what I was thinking about when I was talking to Dean is like, this is actually a really good idea for maybe like an upcoming blog or something, because biomechanics specifically in baseball is getting so much more popularized, and I think this year is even going to be bigger because of Hawkeye, right? So a lot of people might look at, let's say we start to get access to some publicly available Hawkeye data, or someone writes a blog that does have access or whatever it is.
Publicly available Hawkeye data.
A stretch, but it'll be talked about nonetheless. And then as more people get into biomechanics, it's like there are a ton of nuances, like lab to lab, technology to technology, about how biomechanics data is collected, processed, and presented. And it's important to understand that, because even if you try to like compare K-vest torso rotation to like our biomechanics lab torso into another lab's torso, like there are multiple points along the way where the data can be different, starting from the very beginning. Like we just don't filter as much data as other people do.
Yeah, and that showed up in the weighted ball study as well.
Exactly. And so that's another thing. Same with kinetics as well. So like if you're looking at like, if you want to look at, the Varus moment and compare it across labs, you're going to be like, oh, well, theirs are always lower, yours are higher, Modus says this. Maybe there's some other technology that comes out. I know Pitch AI is working on some kinetics models, and what they're doing, they're going to have that as well. So like you can't really, across multiple technologies, compare all of those. Biomechanics isn't the same. The example that I gave to Dean actually was just like, it's just like photography and taking a picture. You have the same camera, take the picture, but the settings that go into like all of it can completely change like what you do. And then if you think about adding in like the editing process, like changing the exposure, adjusting like the saturation, all of that stuff changes the end picture that you get. Same thing can happen in biomechanics, and that's why it's really important to like compare within technologies, within lab, as best you can. We do that internally. We don't even look at, like version 4 data versus version 5 data when it comes to our pipeline.
Just reprocess.
We have to like reprocess everything. So I think it's a piece that a lot of people are going to get hung up on this year and going forward. And even in those like reading the weighted ball studies, look at torso rotation, be like, oh wow, those are way higher than this paper or way lower than what I see. I don't get values like similar to that. And it's unfortunate that it hasn't been like communicated well enough early how complicated, because I can totally see just your average person seeing that and thinking that like, oh, torso rotation velocity is the same no matter what. No matter if it's a markered motion capture lab, if it's Hawkeye, it's Pitch AI, K-vest, whatever. Torso rotation, there's only one way to measure that, one way that value gets. There's just a goal. And really it's just going to be like different across the board until there's like a standard.
Yeah. Mike Ressler has a question. First, you said, love that filtering and data consistency topic, Anthony. Following up on the data processing topic, you guys have an idealized metric set inside your system. I know some of the systems you use report metrics slightly differently. For example, max versus at impact, etc. And then do you convert all of those into idealized metrics internally for comparison?
And that's a really good question.
Yeah,
it depends.
From the legend Mike Ressler.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it depends on, like, I mean, to some extent, I think a lot of times we started out and just like do all of them, and then start to figure out like
which ones are noise,
which
ones
rises
are like
to the top,
robust.
Yeah, which sticks out more. I mean, that was like really early on in the biomech data set, was like even around when we were on like pipeline version 3, I want to say, going into V4 or maybe it was V5, it was like, okay, let's brainstorm all the possible metrics, all the possible like, you know, point of contacts or like points of interest that we could think of.
And then I'm running t-tests on all of them.
And then we're just doing like massive data set and see like, okay, what kind of sticks out. So, I mean, in a pretty unknown field like all right now,
I have
do it all.
I have a couple things. For example, for our bucket system, like we have, I don't know, like it's less than 30 metrics mixed between max values at certain times in the throw, standardized events, and more. We just have like, based on what Anthony and Caravan have found to be significant and like related to each other in previous investigations, we're kind of like, we have whittled those down into like a smaller group that we're using for prescribing drills internally right now, what we're building out. And also, as far as statistics goes, Caravan makes a point to adjust basically our alpha level. So like if we can't just measure, or we can't just compare 100 metrics and then treat those results the same as if we were only testing a couple. So I don't know if you want to talk about how we categorize it, but typically with investigations where we're looking at a bunch of metrics, typically we categorize in a couple different bins and then treat those as like separate hypotheses.
Yeah, and there's a couple ways to do that. I think I've talked about it on other episodes, but yeah, there's multiple comparisons and adjustments. Bonferroni correction is a popular one. Bonferroni, a bunch that kind of essentially rank stuff. Like the general grasp of a multiple comparison adjustment is you kind of, the easiest one to do is you just grab the alpha 0.05 and then divide by like 20, and then if there's 20 metrics in that group that you're doing, and then it'll be 0.001 whatever.
So alpha represents the level or like the value that the p-value needs to fall under in order for it to be deemed statistically.
That's usually, I find that usually a little bit lazy. It's overly conservative. Not to mention there's like little power analysis to go on the back end of it. Usually more generous methods or more like precise methods usually like rank everything from lowest alpha to highest alpha, and then as you go through, you like kind of cross them off and then adjust the denominator at the end, like dividing the significance level. I was gonna say though, I almost thought like Mike was interested in maybe like definitions of like foot plan or ball release or how we sync that up.
Yeah, I think he was
and lead knee height.
He was also talking about, do we correct for that when doing
so we can
internal analyses? Like, do we kind of like, you know, I guess maybe be a good example. Do we kind of like apply a transform to notice, you know, torque so that it looks better on ours? And I'd say like typically, I mean, we have enough data internally per data set or per technology that we don't do that, but it's definitely something more. And I know that that's something that like I've talked about with you know, Son and Pitch AI. Along the way, adjusting metrics to kind of like fit within our normative ranges so that they're easier for our athletes to understand. Like, that I mean, one thing with that too that like I didn't even mention is it could be at the level of like, you call this 45 degrees of elbow flexion or 135, you know, or is it like negative 135, right? Like just like stuff like that, gonna like throw people in the lab. Do we do a lot of, I think on the hitting side, a lot of the reports across technologies, like haven't we made adjustments, have like
on just like hitting on like hit tracks data, or what are you talking
about?
like
like if you're comparing two measurement tools that measure the same or theoretically the same thing, but like their normative ranges are a little bit different based on measurement differences, like adjusting the values in one so you can compare it to something
I mean, we've even done that with Blast and DK comparison analyses to relate it to something Mike definitely knows about.
On the mocap side, I don't think we've never really done anything that's like, okay, let's make our stuff like ASMI. But granted, that's just been because like we have enough data to
Yeah.
read that.
And
Force
that's
plates-
also the beauty of within subjects analyses. So
that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Force plates could be an area where, maybe our filtering practices go out and we try to find some
Mhm.
standard operation. That's a data. There actually probably is.
Yeah.
Probably some really strong strength and conditioning, I would assume.
Mhm.
So, like,
And then a
force
lot
plate
of
data.
of the companies that are manufacturing and building software tools on top of a little bit like lower fidelity force plate systems like Pocket Dynamics or ForceDex, where they're not triaxial force plates, so they only measure force in one direction. They're more like publicly available. They're creating really like good user interfaces to use them in like a training and assessment setting. So the barrier of entry is a little bit lower than, for example, getting was it MTI or a Burtec or a Kistler force plate. So, and I think that our force plate falls into that category, and also hitting. So we're getting more into hitting biomechanics. And as far as those points of interest, like maximum values versus at impact or at foot strike, those are still in their infancy in our system. So like we're trying to build those out based on maybe like a mix of what other systems like KVest or other like biomechanical hitting tools, like we're trying to build that out based on what the hitting industry kind of knows, and then but also mixing in like what we think is the most robust way to describe and standardize swing events.
I mean, that was honestly one of the like hardest parts, was trying to understand what did KVest,
Yeah.
like stuff like that was just like, I mean, yeah, if you were working with an athlete and you're like, this is your arm speed.
Yeah.
See it peaks here. It's like, that's really easy. It's like, well, I understand it's doing something with, but on like a fundamental biomechanics level, is it like, just the humerus movement in a certain plane? Is it the magnitude? Is it like rotation globally, rotation around the torso? Like, there were so many things with that. Even then, and that's like, what do we choose in that instance? Like hitting side, probably just gonna do it all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
figure out what
and
matters.
see what, see what ends up
mega
popping
test.
up. Yeah.
Mega test.
I was gonna ask. I'm completely blanking on it. What was the sensor you were working with a bunch like a couple years ago? Notch. Yeah. I was trying to think like in my head about it, and I knew sort of, and I skipped thinking Notion. I was like,
Notion sensor, bro. The Notion sensor. Sleep.
Nice. Yeah. 40 used to use those sensors. They do not anymore.
Oh wait, I thought they just used a newer version.
They have so 4D's version 3 sensor is just a different system. Their version 1 was Notch version 1. Their version 2 was Notch version 2 because Notch upgraded, but then they're on to a different hardware system now. So I'm very interested in what they got going. Nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuances. I mean, so many limitations if you don't understand that. So in general, you are looking at biomechanics data and go out and look at other labs, publications, technologies, reference ranges, but that isn't going to really help you. You're going to be much better off in your technology, within your testing environment. Then you can start to build some like reference ranges between technologies with collecting. That'll help. You're just gonna get crossed up all the time if you paper in one lab and a lab. Well, like bat speed is a good one. It's like
bat speed's really good.
6 inches
measure,
or
what do you find the sweet spot?
What is it, like 20%
Yeah.
of the bat length? Like even that is like, yes, it's just called bat speed, but it can be measured. So.
Yeah, and also like there are, I remember what it was. you remember? Oh, Garmin. Do you remember me talking to you guys about the Garmin sensor that I think it was a fan of the podcast. This coach who was coaching kids on Garmin's bat speed like sensor or bat sensor that I never heard about before. Only had heard of Garmin with watches, and he was like trying to apply some of
units.
he was like trying to apply some of the exit velocity to bat speed equations we'd put out there on like our pairing Hitrex and Blast blogs. So like we were putting pretty straightforward equations to build exit velocity from bat speed based on a model built on like tens of thousands of data points. So we felt pretty good about it. Obviously under assumption using Blast. He was like telling me, he's like, I think I'm doing something wrong, man. These 14-year-old kids are just coming out with like 140 mile an hour exit velocities. And I was like, I didn't know if he was just like doing just like a wrong operation and equation. I was like, just send me over your data. And I'm looking at it, it's just like 105 bat speed, 107 bat speed.
These kids have insane bat speeds. Yeah. That's an interesting one. I mean, the other piece that we haven't even touched on within that is like, and I really don't know this, you might know more in terms of answers, but like hardware differences, firmware differences, is that a possibility?
Yeah, and sampling rates. I think
sampling rates is definitely a big one. Yeah. I don't even know like on the hardware side if there's something that could affect that.
Bat speed I think is less of a problem because as far as I know, rotational velocities in the swing, like of the hands, are within a typical gyroscope's like operating range, whereas throwing has been a big problem because arm speeds are reaching 8,000 degrees a second, which just isn't measured reliably as far as affordable gyroscopes go. So, or affordable and like small enough, economically sized gyroscope. So you can't just wear a huge like sensor on your arm and not expect it to change things or expect for people to use it. So that's certain companies are getting innovative with how to like calculate rotational velocities and linear velocities differently to try to mitigate for the hardware problems. But as far as like really, really fast, high velocities, sampling rate is obviously an issue, but that's less of an issue, I think, than sensor saturation, which is when the velocity or whatever you're measuring reaches the capacity of that sensor to actually measure any differences.
Damn, it's actually, when you just said that too, it made me think of like how tough it's gonna be if there ever is some like biomech data and stuff. Like a lot of people are probably gonna think, oh wow, people aren't moving nearly as fast as they used to because so many old seminal papers, gouging mechanics, done with manually digitized like DLT.
Yeah.
Like even that 8,000 number, I'm pretty sure that's from a paper that did like 100 frames per second cameras with manual digitization, and you could create 8,000 degrees per second with really bad misclick on a joint center manual digitizations.
Yeah,
it's actually probably a good point for putting out some kind of new, I guess, optical motion capture reference range paper kind of a thing.
Like, I mean, as far as this, you said you were going to potentially write a blog about it next. That could just be like something we include in some publication where like, our normative values in this system, in this setting or this. So like,
it's so tough too when you're reading a paper because they'll just reference the result of the paper that they kind of need to reference without talking about the methods.
And it's like track down that paper.
Yeah, and it's so tough to I guess dig that far or know when it's all under the umbrella of biomechanics paper, a baseball biomechanics paper. I mean, it could be a sensor, it could be true cameras, manual digitization. It could be an optical motion capture lab like soon to be 360 frames.
That's right. Let's go.
Soon to be 360 hertz.
Honestly, we should have just zoomed in wrestler on this podcast.
Yeah.
Hardware is
we should
interesting
drive
one,
him as a
though.
guest.
Hardware is one I haven't thought of. I mean, dude, even on the camera side, the temperature of the cameras matter.
Yeah.
The data collected.
Yeah.
Like that's like. I was talking mostly about processing analysis of the data, but
Even
you can create issues at that level.
Or the switch getting overloaded, or the computer port not being able to withstand the data. Like with the gaze tracking glasses, like they say, and as opposed to like some systems will set the sampling rate. So if it's set to 240 hertz, it's going to always sample at 240 hertz, and it probably has the capacity to do a little bit more than that. But if you're like pushing the capacity, there's going to be some times where it drops below that.
Yeah.
Whereas the gaze tracking system is like, all right, we're just going to timestamp everything so that it should be around 200 hertz. It might drop below that a few times. It might drop above that for a second, or like exceed that for a second. But it just has timestamps, so you can just go for it that way. But yeah, there's just infinite different things that can affect that data collection. Let's go, wrestling.
What do you say?
We basically just landed a podcast guest, I think.
Oh, also, yeah. Driveline. He's talking about Driveline taking the lead and publishing normative range calculations. I mean, I'm down.
I imagine we have a near the biggest data sets for a lot of these people.
It's something that we've talked about in abs, trying to get together and put out some standards. I hope that is a thing. Yeah, it's just so important. It's kind of tough because there aren't like that many labs out there, you know. So it's like how many people are really gonna benefit from this? But in the long term, it's gonna pay off so much more.
Yeah, just going 0 to 1 on it too publicly.
If there is a group of people out there, then like, hey, I want to do a biomechanics study on pitching mechanics in the lab, and then like to have a standard operating guidelines. Especially with how much data.
And Mike, listen, you're always welcome. I think I invited Mike a couple months ago, but I might have been too subtle. Plus, I don't know. Maybe now he's interested. Maybe now our podcast is big time.
We need to be a little bit more forward.
Yeah. No, I'm super down. I'm down to have a wrestler on. Yes, that'd be.
Yeah.
Nice. What we got next week?
I don't know.
Next week,
probably pre-record. We'll probably pre-record a guest. We have the Biomech meeting to splash into.
That's right.
And then who knows? I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but the three of us could be in a live guest episode in Zona.
Oh yeah, that would be so sick.
There's a good chance we'll be back by then. I'm hoping we're coming back Monday.
But I'm saying we could pre-record one live with a guest, dog. We ain't done one live with a guest.
Yeah,
that's because I mean. I'm amazed we even got this one with us today.
That's true. It is.
I
think
it looks
That's
great.
a good point.
Thank you for. Thank you for.
We got this thrown
setting
together
up production.
Last second. Next week, pre-recorded. Hopefully,
let's. Can we do a poll? What should we put up on this wall over here? On this for decoration. If it's going to be in the background of our podcast, we should for sure let the viewers have a say.
I think we should also, I was thinking about it when we were doing this, maybe change the setup so that it's less eye facing each other.
Round table or something?
A slight curve. Posted over here. Yeah. Or we could get like 3 lazy boy recliners.
Barstool rundown.
Or just have a new marketing intern just like do the live cuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just do live cuts. Have you guys seen that? Live cuts during a podcast?
Oh yeah. Dude, I mean, now that I got this camera thing, we have cameras everywhere.
Johnny says one soda wallpaper. We got to get a fat head for the wall, I think.
Ooh. I mean, this
podcast guest, past teammate.
Room just generally.
I'm
down for that.
I'm crashing on Max Engelbrechts right now, dude. I don't know if Juan Soto's gonna roll in.
Hockey freak cutout.
Oh yeah, you can make custom pads. Anyways, we're digressing.
Yeah, we should wrap this up.
We'll wrap the podcast there.
Not a bad episode considering we just put those topics together
Yeah, let's
half
go,
an hour
baby.
before.
Yeah. Dude, this is pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was good too.
Yeah, we
think-
just got another shipment.
Yeah.
Very excited to try those ones.
This
There's
is
only
pretty good.
And don't worry, dude. I'm not gonna be drinking all of them again because
Yeah.
I'm not currently living with you.
Yeah, dude. Still, I've
The-
lost a couple of those beers.
all right.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.